When you leave your child at daycare, you trust they will be safe, protected, and properly supervised. That's exactly what Jessica Bérard-Pilon believed until the day a stranger messaged her on social media with chilling news. Her 4-year-old daughter, Amelia, had been found alone, wandering through the village of Campbell's Bay. The little girl had walked away on her own from the CPE Peekaboo, the daycare she attended. She was minutes away from the facility, unsupervised and vulnerable. Jessica was stunned, but what shocked her even more, the daycare never called her. No warning, no call to police, nothing. Since then, she and her husband, Frank, have been trying to piece together what happened. The explanation they received from daycare staff does not line up with what they have uncovered themselves. Somehow, their daughter managed to pass through several rooms, past multiple adults, exit the building, and vanished without anyone noticing. Even more troubling, according to the parents, the daycare had no established protocol for such a situation, and apparently neither their insurance provider demanded one. I reached out to CPE Peekaboo. They never responded. I also contacted Quebec's Ministry of Family. They confirmed they are aware of the incident, that this is the only formal complaint they received about this establishment, and an inspection took place on June 5th. And the educator responsible has been suspended during the whole investigation. The ministry says it will decide what measures to take once the investigation is complete. That could include that they can go as far as applying administrative sanctions, revoking the daycare's permit, or even recommending criminal charges. Say they are taking it seriously. We will be following up on this. But here is the hard truth. This could have ended much worse. In Ontario, a 2-year-old child went missing from daycare and was later found dead in a sealed septic tank. No one knows exactly how it happened. The Ontario Provincial Police, the OPP, closed the investigation. You can watch my colleague report, Tamara, on this. I spoke with Jessica and what she went through. Listen to this.
So I'm Jessica Berard, the mother of Amelia Pilon. She's 4 years old. She's been attending there for about 3 years now. I received an unknown Facebook request of a person I did not know from the owner of Langford saying that she had my daughter and she was safe. I didn't really believe her until I asked her to send me a photo, and then, kind of went like, oh, okay, she really does have my daughter. And I waited a couple of seconds thinking that the daycare would have at least called me. It'd been at least 5 minutes after I tried to call them with no response. So I drove down there. It's about 17 minutes from the highway to there. And while I was driving, I was still trying to call. And I got a hold of them. And when I asked the director what was going on, she told me that, well, actually, I didn't really even let her speak because I was in shock. So I was like, so why is my daughter at Langford? And she's like, oh my God, you found her. And I was like, what do you mean I found her? And then that's how it all went down. She did offer to go pick her up, but I refused. I'm like, nope, I'm going to go get my child. For some reason, she should not be 14, even 10 minutes away from a daycare that was supposed to be in your care. So they made an accident report. So the owner of Langford messaged me at 10:55. They made an accident report saying that she gone missing at 10:55. They don't really know how long she's been gone for. They don't want to correct the incident report either, because for a child that age, they wander, they look around. God knows they can be picking flowers for a couple of minutes before they really reach their destination. And especially when it's not a street that you commonly walk on. Like, there's going to be a little more walking than normal. But they can't really tell me how it all went down. Still from today when I went to go see them, this like a little meeting 6 days after the incident happened, they still haven't told me what all went down. They don't know nothing. They strongly believe that she'd been only gone for 10 minutes. And I don't believe it been 10 minutes, especially for that type of street we live on in this small town. Like, even for myself, it would take 7 to 10 minutes just to do that walk. And even a GPS says 7 minutes. So even then, it's still a walk that she did. I'm extremely thankful. I've been actually teaching my children my real name, because that's how the owner of Langford actually found me, is my daughter told her my name to her. And I know I'm extremely lucky, because we're literally, the daycare is in front, we'll say 10 feet away from water with a cliff. And we're about a 5-minute, maybe a 7-minute walk to the main highway. And God knows what the streets are. It's a small, sketchy little town. Like, that's like every town. Like, you just don't know everybody that's there.
So afterwards, did you try to contact the family ministry? Did you try to know a little bit more about that daycare, if they have any other previous incidents like that?
So because I don't speak French, they don't really want to help me unless I speak French. I had to get my sister-in-law just to call for me, and my husband. Thankfully, he's French too, so he did a phone call too. And I also had to get my sister-in-law just to send an email to them, because highlighted in red, it says that you cannot do it in English, it has to be all in French. But we did contact. They told me when they called me, luckily I had my boss's wife. She translated everything, because she wouldn't even speak to me, even though it was all in French again. But she told me, well, my boss wife told me that it would take 7 days for them to do an investigation. And I know when I went to the meeting last Thursday, the director did tell me that they had a visit from the ministry, and they did do their little investigation. But I haven't heard nothing since.
How do you feel as a mother to see what happened to your daughter?
To be honest, I don't really sleep at night. Since the incident, my daughter hasn't slept in her own bed, and she used to be really good to sleep by herself. It takes a lot of courage just to go to daycare, because we're such a small town to begin with that it's very hard to have a daycare. So I take big breaths and just pray to God at the same time, like everything goes good. It's just, especially when you don't have the how it happened and you're still going to a daycare and just trying to make sure everything's still okay at the same time. It's scary and hard at the same time.
I asked Jessica if she had heard about the heartbreaking case of the 2-year-old found dead while under the daycare supervisions in Ontario.
Yes, I heard about that, because a lot of people were posting it on my page. That's the thing. You don't know what happens once you drop a child off. You put your trust in that person and in that building to make sure that at the end of the day, you come home to your child. And not every parent gets that experience. Some of them do get tragic outcome, while others get like they got their child. Like, it's supposed to be a safe spot for us to trust. But if we can't trust little things like that, like, you start questioning, like, what else could have happened? Like, what goes on in the daycare that we don't know.
We also spoke about the alarming lack of clear safety protocols when a child goes missing?
So apparently they don't have protocols for when a child goes missing. I have spoken to other daycares in this area that don't work there, but they used to. And they said that the same thing. They don't have protocols because they don't really expect a child to go missing. But for someone that, like me, that doesn't work in a daycare, I already have it on the top of my head, like a child missing, call 911 and do your head count, lock down the building, make sure everybody's counted for. Like, I don't even work there, and that's what I would have done. The fact that they didn't even call 911 to begin with, like, she's only 4. Even if it'd been 10 minutes, like, that takes enough for somebody to pick her up with a car, and she's already 30 minutes away from town. Like, there's so many possibilities that people don't look at it like that anymore. They just think like it's only 10 minutes, but that 10 minutes is like your line, like, to make sure everything's good.
Jessica told me she has already taken steps to seek answers.
So right now, I went and saw the director, and I'm not sure how you would call it, like her boss and then her boss. I think that her boss is like in with the ministry or something like that. I'm not quite sure, but she said that they're going to be installing cameras at the door and fixing the door so that way it locks from the inside and the outside. And they're going to have like a buzzer that will go off when the door goes on, like opens. That's about it, to be honest. For the bathroom incident, because it all started with the washroom. So they said that when a child goes to the washroom, they're going to stand at the door. And if it takes a little too long that the child doesn't come out, they're going to start calling their names. So that way they can come, like, acknowledge that, like, they're still there waiting for them. But I feel that should have already been happening because, again, it's literally 18 months to mid 5 years old going to school. Like, they're not robots. Like, they still need guidance and care for and all that little stuff that those little guys don't know about. They need to be taught that. So for me, like, that should have been there already, because that was one thing that when it all went down, the first thing I asked the director is like, do you even have cameras to see like how she got out? And the first thing she said was, well, no, I never had this. Like, it never happened before. And I was like, well, it did now. And it would have been helpful to know, like, what went down.
Do you still trust the daycare?
Not really, no. Because I wanted a how it happened, why it happened, and how to prevent it from happening. And they only gave me the answer of how they're going to prevent it from happening, but they never really could have tell Amelia's story on how it happened. And for me as a mother, I feel like that's always going to be on my mind from now on. Just knowing that they do not have an answer on how it happened. And they're sticking with their story that she was only gone for 10 minutes.
Given Jessica's growing doubt about the CPE explanations, I asked whether she intended to involve the authorities to ensure a thorough and independent investigation.
I'm waiting on them to give me the truth. But if I don't like what they're giving for me as the truth, I will go further, because that's not right. If they're just trying to, like, save the daycare, like, it's one incident, but God knows what else happened or what else been filed, because not every parent looks into that. Not every parent thinks of that. For myself, like, I would have never thought of looking into the ministry to see how many incidents happened just in that daycare alone. I didn't even know you can do that. So I would definitely be waiting to see what they give me. But I'm allowed to have a second opinion on it and try to push it for a better one.
Don't forget forget to go over rebelfieldreports.com. You can chip in a couple of bucks to make sure we are continuing our journalism and that we are showing you the other side of the story. Thanks in advance.